back, guys, to another episode of the Thermal Gard Podcast. And this is our Christmas episode today. So Merry Christmas, everybody. Happy New Year. And per usual, we have another guest on. And this time we have Charity Bender with the Salvation Army. Thanks for coming on, Charity.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah. And as we were talking as a team, you know, like who should we have on for Christmas? There's really nobody better than the Salvation Army to have on. I mean, you guys do so much during Christmas. I mean, it's wild, and I can't wait to get into that. But Charity, let's kind of start with you. Where are you from? Where'd you grow up? And how'd you get into the Salvation Army?
I grew up in Lewistown, Pennsylvania. It's about central area of Pennsylvania, so about an hour from Harrisburg. Some people don't know where that is, but or 40 minutes from State College, so Penn State.
Okay.
I have 7 sisters, no boys. And then we had some add-ons whenever my dad got remarried a couple times. So, I'm married. I've been married for 30 years. And we have 4 kids and 5 grandkids and 2 on the way.
That's amazing.
Yes.
Congratulations. What's some good marriage advice after 30 years of marriage?
Communication. Communication is the key, because if you guys don't communicate with one another, you know, I mean, that's the key thing for marriage, you know, because it is. That's just, yeah.
Yeah. That's
and always
advice.
being there, and yeah.
Yeah, great advice. So you grew up in Pennsylvania.
Yes.
So I'm assuming you graduated high school there. What was after high school?
Well, after high school, I worked, they would say, like a 9-to-5 job, but I started out at the age of 15. I started at Domino's Pizza, and I couldn't drive, but our boss at that time his name was Osman, and he goes, come on, because he was from Pakistan, and he would always say, come on, we're busy. I take you for delivery. So he would drive me, and I would do the deliveries because I wasn't old enough, and then he would give me the tips. So it was nice. And then I went to Walmart to work. So I was there for 5 to 6 years. And then I ended up with, before coming into the Salvation Army, I worked at Dollar General. I was there for about 6 years as the manager in Belleville, Pennsylvania. And I liked it. That was a community of like 3/4 of our population was Amish. So it was very nice, and knowing and seeing their buggies coming through, and yes. And then if you would have asked me when I was a senior in high school about going into the Salvation Army, I would say, no, I'm not interested. Because we grew up in the Salvation Army. My grandparents are retired officers. My uncle just retired about 2 years ago from the Salvation Army, and my aunt is in Boston as a Salvation Army officer. So my mom was the only one that didn't go in because she was the oldest of the 3.
Okay. So definitely runs in the family.
Yes.
I got to ask, though, managing a Dollar General with a huge majority population Amish, was there any maybe key takeaways or lessons you learned during that time, or maybe just a good story you could share?
Well, I'm thinking, but there's a lot. I know that like Wednesdays was their shop day. We have what it's called a Belleville sale, and they would always go there and set up, and but it was mostly the men, and then the women would come on like Tuesdays. But if they're with their husbands, they're not allowed to speak to us. At least they weren't at the beginning. But the one lady that I got to really know very well, she was an Amish lady, and I don't believe she was married, but she breeded dogs, and that was one of the things that she did. And I went back to her house a few times, and it was just nice to see how because I'd never been into an Amish house like that, where there's no curtains or lights or anything like that. So it was very interesting.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
It's a different way of life, but there's something refreshing and nostalgic about it.
Yes.
Very cozy. So anyway, after that, how'd you get into the Salvation Army?
Well, we were married for 15 years. We got married in 95. And we did not have anything planned, of going into the Salvation Army because we had our own house. We had 4 kids at the time, and we had our own pool. We had our own vehicles, our own camper, and and someone would say, why would you want to go into the Army when you had all of this, and making a lot more money than what we make now. But my husband and I mean, it's a calling. It truly is a calling. If God is calling you to do that, then that's what you need to do, and not to fight. If he's telling you that he wants you to do that, then that's, so that's kind of how it was. I believe that I knew before my husband. He just, what do you call it? I was more or less waiting for him because I couldn't come out and say, I think I'm ready, but are you? That's something that you have to allow them to wait for that calling, because you can't rush the system when it comes to that.
Yeah. How long was that period from the time you knew you were supposed to do it to the time you actually took that step?
I would say at least 13 years because my husband and I, when we first got married, he was an alcoholic and, and it was rough, but he knew that when he had the kids, he didn't drink or anything like that. But, so the first 13 years, that's what he was. And, I prayed for him day in and day out. And one night, it's like if it just happened yesterday, but I can still see it. I was kneeling at the bed and he starts kneeling and I said, what are you doing? Because at that time I got up and was getting ready to go to bed and I said, what are you doing? He said, I'm praying. I said, okay. And that's all because he's never did that before. So that was something that was different. Mm-hmm.
So what brought you from Pennsylvania to Northwest Ohio?
The Salvation Army. What happens is our last appointment, we were there for 8 years. And every now and then they will say, I guess, like whatever we're good at, because everybody's good at different things. They may say, I want you to go to this location because they need this, this, and this done. Mm-hmm. But sometimes you don't know that they want you to go and do that until, time after. Mm-hmm.
What would you say to somebody who is feeling a calling to something, whether that's a business, to charity work, whatever that would be? When someone has that in them, but they're not sure if they can make that step, what would you say to someone who's in that place? I
believe that they would need to reach out to somebody, whether it be like my husband or I, or just reach out to us, and we would be more than happy to talk with them. And if they don't have the means or they want to help just a little bit, then we would explain to them how to do getting it started.
Gotcha. Charity, walk us through, what was it like praying for your husband for that long and not seeing any results?
It was very hard, but I had to stay faithful and know that, one day God's going to answer my prayers, and he did. And what happened was that when my husband, the next day, he kind of told me a fib, but I said, what are you doing? And he was, I'm dumping, spilling all of his beer out, dumping it out in the sink and that. And he said his doctor couldn't, he told him that because at the time he probably just wanted to make sure that it was a true calling, and but my thing of it is that he didn't want anybody else to have it, because anybody could give it up and then give it to someone else. But then you're just enabling them to do what you were doing.
Right. Okay. So you guys both then go to the Army.
Mm-hmm.
And what was that transition like from normal kind of everyday working life to Salvation Army life?
Well, and it was different. We did have to go into training for a year. Usually it is 2 years. But a part of my background, I'm not very academic. I can't, you give me anything hands-on, I'm there. So we only did training for a year. And then we did, and the reason being is because I couldn't do the academics. So they asked us not to come back for the next year, which for anybody that would happen to, I think that they would say, well, then why would I be following what, God wants me to do, even though you just got to keep your faith. And so we did our summer assignment, and that was in East Stroudsburg, Pennsylvania. And then from there, that's when they came and told us that they didn't want us to come back for the next year. But I believe that God had us there for a reason, because we have so many new friends, that we didn't have before, with going to training for that year. And then when we were done with East Stroudsburg, the officers there said that we could stay the rest of the summer. I said, and we both looked at each other and we said, well, we really can't, because we have no home now. So we're more or less homeless. We have to take the kids back and get them registered for school. We had to do all of that stuff. So we did, and we went back home. And then my gram, as a retired officer, and she got a phone call and said from one of the other officers that she was like a mentor to. They said, we were praying. We need one person that we were praying for, but let us go and pray and see if we can get another person, see if the funds can come available. So that's what happened. And we ended up in Chambersburg, Pennsylvania. And then from Chambersburg, we knew we were going to be there for at least 3 years, because we still had focus, that we were coming into the Salvation Army. And then we went into Huntington. Then after the 3 years, we're up in Chambersburg. And we kind of knew that our time was ready to be moved on from there.
So when you were in training, what exactly were you learning and getting trained for? What kind of, if you're allowed to share any?
Oh, yeah. So a lot of the training was, it is books, they want to teach you how to work on sermons, because they have their way of doing it versus someone else, they have the 3 points, and, that's a good idea to do it, but some people don't like to do it that way. And sorry, what was your question again?
Just kind of things that you learned when you were going through the training.
They would teach us the Old Testament, the New Testament, just things that a lot of the background. And then we didn't have any math or anything like that. Mm-hmm. And then we had doctrine. Doctrine is just the doctrines of the Salvation Army, and they would go through all of them, each one, and explain. And then they had a class that was maybe about 15 to 20 hours. And that class dealt with marriages and funerals and weddings and all of that stuff. So, yeah.
And so for someone who isn't as familiar, myself included, how would you describe the Salvation Army? What exactly is it? What do you guys stand for?
Well, a lot of people do not know, but we are a church first and foremost. And then a lot of people know us as social services. We have a food pantry at ours. Not all the Salvation Armies have food pantries, because if they have a soup kitchen, they don't usually have a food pantry.
Oh, that's cool.
When did the Salvation Army start? Can you share that story?
18, oh my goodness, 76, I believe. Oh my goodness. a long time ago.
Yeah.
But it was started by William Booth and Catherine Booth in London, England. And I don't know the whole story of it, but I do know that he wanted to go out for those that were less fortunate, and not those. I mean, he still wants them to come in, but the ones that have money and all that, because the ones that are left behind are those that don't more or less have all the funds. But even with like here at our church, we don't care if you come in shorts and a t-shirt, as long as you're coming in and, wanting to learn more about God.
And is it affiliated with a specific branch of Christianity, or is it its own branch, would you say? Or is it just kind of just Christians in general?
Yeah. I know that William Booth's background was Methodist. So, but I just always thought of us as just regular Christians. But I mean, I'm assuming that there probably is a background to it.
Right.
But yeah.
Gotcha. So from Pennsylvania, where'd you go after that?
So from Pennsylvania, we came here. We went to, we were in Lewistown, and then, of course, we went to Chambersburg and then Huntington, Pennsylvania. And then we came here to Ohio, and we've been here, this coming June will be 4 years.
Yeah. In true Army fashion, did you guys know where you were going to be placed, or was it kind of like, here are your orders?
No. Yeah. You don't know where you're going to be placed until like 2 months, if that, before you move. So we would get, let's just say like in June, when they bring out the moves, we wouldn't know until like maybe the end of April, beginning of May.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
And so when did they give you your guys' letter saying you were going to move? Remember what time of year?
Oh my. I would say ours would have been probably like March, because they kind of let you know ahead of time that we're thinking of moving you, and but you don't know where you're going or what state or anything until it comes out.
Yeah. That's awesome. So you move here, Lima, Ohio. What does it look like setting up shop in a brand new state, brand new city?
Different. And I say that because, I mean, we're family oriented, not saying that anybody else isn't, but like we love to spend time with our kids and our grandkids. And that was one of the hardest things because we're 6 hours away. And so, yeah, so it was a little hard for me at first because of, I couldn't see my kids and my grandkids every day, except for on FaceTime.
Yeah.
So
what was like, in your guys' plan for the first 6 months to like kind of acclimate yourselves? What did that plan look like?
And that's kind of what it is when you go into a new appointment, you're not supposed to change anything for like the first 6 months to a year. But sometimes you have to change some things. So, I mean, I didn't have to change too much when we first got here. But everybody, like all officers are different. So the way they work and handle their things, so you just got to wait that 6 months to a year and then see how it's being ran. And then if you need to change anything, then that's the time that you can do it.
Gotcha.
So obviously the Salvation Army has a different internal structure than most of their churches. It's organized by like military ranks and things like that.
More or less, yes.
So can you talk about a little bit about how that structure works and how it's kind of organized across the country and things like that?
Well, I don't know how it all came about, but it's kind of like the Army. We have our captains and our majors and and then we have lieutenant colonels and we have colonels. And our top-notch person that's in London, he is a general. So, yeah.
So there's only one general for the whole organization.
Yes. And then we're split out. So, like, our area would be Eastern Territory. And so we would be from Maine to Kentucky and then Ohio. And then, of course, Puerto Rico would be part of our division. So there's the Eastern, there's Western, Central, and then Southern.
Your old window cleaner is trash. Ditch it and get Dudley on duty. It's what the pros use.
Gotcha. And this is, I don't know if you know this, but do you know how many countries you guys are in?
A lot.
A lot.
Over 100 and so many. But yeah, we're in almost all the countries. I know that I like to go on cruises. Mm-hmm. So our last cruise that I went with my sisters, we actually contacted the officers in the NASA area, and they were going to take us for a tour, but then I got sick that day, so I couldn't go on the tour. So, but yeah, so it's nice that if you do go on any trips that you can reach out to the officers, and if they have somewhere you can stay, that's usually a good thing.
Yeah.
Because then that saves you money.
Well, sure. Yeah, that's amazing. Awesome.
What would you say the hardest part, besides not being being so close to your family, was to adapting to Lima from Pennsylvania?
The coldness. Because there's no hills, no trees, it's all flat, which is okay, but it seems like it gets very colder here, and the wind, when it's windy, watch out.
Yeah.
Yeah. What's the funnest part of your job and your assignment specifically here in Lima?
I love what I do, everything, but I think the most thing is seeing the faces on the parents' face, because we don't get to see the kids' faces. But so an example, last year we had a family that we adopted out, and we had to call them ahead of time and said, we need you to come in and pick up some stuff because your family was adopted out. And they're like, oh, okay. So they came in early, and we gave their vehicle, it was a small 4-door, but it was packed by the time they left, because this whoever adopted them bought them a whole big pack of paper towels, toilet paper, and laundry detergent, and then another place brought in Thanksgiving meals, and it must have been right before Thanksgiving, because I said we have this extra, so we might as well give it to them. So that's what we did.
That's awesome.
So
what is maybe one of the most challenging things of your guys' job?
I think the challenging thing would be my aspect is for the Christmas, because that's where I kind of deal with. And I guess it would be when the parents, we bag the stuff up for them and we separate it so that we try to give each child the same thing. But if someone buys an angel for somebody, and let's say they bought them 20 pieces of clothing, but their other child didn't get that many, we have no control on that. So they're going to get whatever that child's given. But sometimes they call in and say, why did this child get more than this child? And we just don't have control on that.
Yeah.
We try and do our best, but sometimes we can't add a lot of stuff extra to the other children, but we try to do what we can.
Yeah. Is there any advice or maybe guidance you could give to people who get those angels and, you guys run into those issues? Anything you could say directly to them to help?
No, everything that they've been doing since we've been here in Lima, this year, it's just been phenomenal, because everybody, it's not one or two things that they're buying off of their wish list items. It's they're getting everything. And it's just been phenomenal that, we have bags coming in, not Walmart bag, but bags. And I don't know how true this next part is, but I was told that it is. So, but I was told that there's a TikTok going around telling people to go and buy angels and buying everything off of their list. I don't know how true that is.
That is very true.
Oh,
As somebody who's on TikTok all the time, and what a lot of influencers are doing is that they are videoing themselves as they're angel tree shopping. So they'll grab, let's just say 5 of them and then go through all of them, and then they'll show everything they get. And I mean, it is a lot. And I think that's influencing other people, ordinary people, to want to go out and also give back to the community.
Yeah. And like, we appreciate everybody with whether they adopt or we have a lot of places that just have angel tags. And one of them is Walmart over on Allentown Road. I don't know if there's a preference, a name, or is it West? I don't know. But anyhow, we've given them like 3 stacks of names already. So they've been doing very phenomenal in giving them out.
That's awesome. And I think that's a good transition. Can you talk about the Christmas time of year for the Salvation Army specifically, and just kind of everything you guys have to do, everything you guys kind of coordinate, and maybe your partnership with Toys for Tots and stuff like that? Can you go into all that?
So we partner with Toys for Tots, and because the coordinator for that is Paul Downing, and he's one of our employees. And so he goes out the end of October, beginning of November, and takes out over 200 boxes for Toys for Tots. And then at the same time, he takes out angel tags. So what we have to do is we do applications, and now we start our online applications in July. So when we're doing kettles, we actually have our angel tag application open as well, that they can start applying and everything. And so we take them out, and then we usually tell them that we have to have it back by the 8th of December. And with Thanksgiving being later, you have like 4 full weeks between Christmas and Thanksgiving, but the last couple of years we haven't. So they bring their tags back, and then we have to. So how I do it, I don't know how everybody else does it, but I separate it, or we have them separated. Like so, if a bag comes in for 200, then we have to count it, because if it's Walmart wants to know like who's all shopping there, and how much they're getting and receiving. So they want a breakdown of it. So we have to do a breakdown, but then we put it in a box. So when we're ready to pack that number, we'll have that right there ready for us to be able to pack it. And we have a lot of businesses that do come in and help with packing and sorting. And it's just been so helpful that, we have, I think, 30 families adopted out this year so far. And I just sent another one this morning to a family that wanted to adopt. And then we do our distribution on the 22nd and 23rd of December. It's a little bit later this year, just because Christmas is later in the week. And so I talked with Angie, and I said, well, why don't we do it Monday and Tuesday instead of Thursday and Friday? And she said, okay, that's fine, because then that gives us a couple extra days that we can make sure everything's set and ready, for the distribution days.
Yeah.
And when you say a family's been adopted out, what exactly does that mean?
So just like as an example, so if there's an angel, someone will come and call us, and then what they do is they don't want just one child. So we'll try to give them a family of like 2 or 3 kids. Okay. And then they just buy for that family then. Mm-hmm. So then they know for that family what all they're getting them. Mm-hmm. So they could evenly space out what they're getting them versus just picking something off the tree. It's just easier sometimes for us as well, because then we don't have to worry about making sure that, all the kids are getting exactly the same clothing and everything. Mm-hmm. So, yes.
Can you describe more of just how your gym looks this time of year, and kind of the packing procedure, and maybe how many toys you guys do? Just describe that whole picture. Okay.
So, yes, our gym is very full. So anytime you guys are free, you want to come down, go for it. But yeah, so our gym is full. We have it kind of set up like a U shape. And we have tables the whole way from the one door going the whole way around. And then we have our boxes set up at the very beginning, where our one entrance door is for like going outside. So then when the angel tags do come in, we have a spot for them to go as well, because those items do not get put out with our other items. My philosophy is, and everybody might be different, but Jesus only got 3 gifts. So what does it make anybody else different? So we try to give every child 3 big gifts and then 3 stocking stuffers. And then if they get any clothing from like their adopters or whoever bought their stuff for their angel tag, then we give them clothes as well. So, and people have been just buying a lot of clothes this year. So, which is awesome, because some of these kids, a lot of what they're asking for is clothes. And yes.
And for these kids and families who are receiving the gifts and everything, do they have to like reach out to you guys and share that they're interested in being a part of it? Like that they would like toys and clothes like donated to them? Or how does that go about?
No, that's what the application process is.
Okay.
So everybody that's on our list has to apply.
Okay.
And then they have to show documentation that they are in Allen County, and that we service their area. And then, like I said, this is our like 2nd or 3rd year doing online applications, and but they have to show us their. We don't really go by income, just because a lot of places you don't know what the situation is. Anything could happen, and so what we do is we look at their proof of residence. They have to show us their photo ID and then birth certificates for the children. Birth certificates, we say, because that shows us that of their birth date, when they were born, and then it also shows us their parents. And because if they don't have custody of them, then they can't get the gifts for them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They have to have like a court order saying that they have custody of the children if it's not their child.
Okay.
Interesting. So yeah, I even learned a lot in that. It's interesting. So where can somebody go to maybe find out more about the Salvation Army, you guys specifically, and how does somebody go about getting involved, volunteering, or helping you guys out?
They can, we have our Facebook page. It's the Lima Salvation Army, and they can go there, send us a message, and it's usually Paul or myself that answers the messages. And then I try to put in parentheses, because you don't know exactly who is sending it. So I try to put my name so that they know it's me sending it to them. Because when they get a response, it just says the Salvation Army. But they can reach out to us. They can call us. I was at our home corps in Pennsylvania. There was an officer, and I'm not going to go into any names or anything, but you always have these people that you know what to do and what not to do. So I always asked if I could help, and they didn't want my help. So I have it now that if someone asks me to help, I'm not going to turn them away. Even if it's something little for them to do, I'll find them something to do. Yeah. You can always, I don't want to be there until 2-3 o'clock in the morning working on Christmas bags. So yeah, so we try to help as many as we can. And if anybody else wants to help, they can just reach out to us. They can call the office. And I'm usually in the toy shop. So you're lucky you got me this time. But yeah, so they can just reach out to us, and we'd be more than happy. And if it's in an evening that they want to help, then they can do that as well. I just need to know ahead of time so that, because if I don't have anybody scheduled and I don't need to be at the office at the time, then I'll go home usually around 5. But for the most part, when it gets closer to time, I'll be there a little bit longer because there's more to do.
Yeah. Yeah. And when do you guys send out the gifts to the families?
The 22nd and 23rd, they come and get them.
Awesome. So they come in and get them. Awesome.
Yes.
Well, I think maybe we should just transition into one of our last segments, and it's called our quick fire question segment.
Uh-oh.
So we just fire some questions at you real quick, and first thing that comes to mind, you just give us your answer.
Okay.
All right.
I'll do my best.
Yeah. The first one is tea or coffee to start the day?
Tea.
Tea, just 1 cup?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Only honey.
Only honey.
Yeah, no sugar.
No sugar.
Just honey.
I agree.
That's how I like mine as well. What is your favorite local business besides your own?
Oh, there is Bellassini's. I think that's what it is.
Bellacino's?
Is that what it is? I don't know. It's like an Italian restaurant. And there's another one over by the Goodwill. Oh my goodness, I don't remember what it's called, but we're like Italian.
Yeah. So anything Italian.
Yeah.
Awesome. What is one word to describe entrepreneurship?
Oh my goodness. Blessing, maybe?
That's awesome. And what is one of the biggest business myths?
Oh my goodness. And explain it more. What do you...
So maybe, you run a whole organization here locally. I think there's a lot of misconceptions from people where they think maybe your job is going to be this, or maybe you thought before you got into this, hey, this is what we're going to do. This is how we're going to do it. And you get in and you start working, you start, grinding away, and you're like, man, that was not true at all. I was way off.
Yeah. So I guess one of the things would be like, I'm not an office person. I really am not. But with being not even just Lima, but being in with the Salvation Army, you're doing a lot of desk work.
Clerical work.
Because it's like stats have to be done and making sure that, everybody is where they need to be. And so you're kind of like the supervisor of everybody, and which is okay, but I don't want to be behind the desk all the time.
Right.
I like to be out mingling with the people and,
Yeah. Like I had no idea you guys had to give a report to Walmart for everything. Like that's kind of mind blowing.
Yeah.
I understand why you do that. It makes sense, but I would have never guessed.
Walmart is a corporate partner with us.
That's awesome.
And yes. And that's, and it was really nice this year because when we did our back to school celebration for like we had like a box that we could set up at Walmart, but we had to be present. And one of the things that they said that we could do this year was we could stand kettles at the same time as with our box. So we took advantage of that because we do kettles anyway in July.
Yeah.
So it helped.
That's awesome. I guess what is one maybe quote or piece of advice that you've held on to your whole life?
Oh my goodness. You got to love the people. There's a lot of people that are out there and that, and I know like when we started at Walmart, everybody's right. The customers are always right. Yes, we understand that, but you just got to love the people. Even if they come to you and they have a problem or an issue, you just got to love them and try and answer them, the best you can.
Yeah. That is spectacular advice. Well, thank you so much for coming on today, Charity. It's been
You're
a real
welcome. Thank you
pleasure.
for having me.
Yeah. And Merry Christmas to everybody watching. And as Austin always says,
Thanks to iHeart Studio for having us in the studio today.
that's right.
And thanks for being on.
Yeah.
Thank you.
See you all in the next one.